Stop. How you're losing your Fourth Amendment rights without knowing it. Hey, quick question. Did you know that the way you carry your firearms could mean you've already given up some of your Fourth Amendment rights? It's true, and most gun owners don't even realize it. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand a legal loophole that affects every gun owner, how to avoid it, and how to make sure you're not unknowingly giving up your constitutional rights. Before we dive in, let's quickly break down what the Fourth Amendment is and why it's important. The Fourth Amendment is part of the U.S. Constitution, and it's what protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. Simply put, it means law enforcement needs a valid reason or a warrant before they can search your personal belongings. It's one of the cornerstones of your right to privacy in America. Your freedom to privacy is as American as apple pie, or it should be. Now let's talk about the quote-unquote loophole, the Single Purpose Container Doctrine. This legal principle comes from a 1979 Supreme Court case called Arkansas versus Sanders. It says that if you're carrying something in a container designed for a single, specific purpose, like a rifle case, you might not have the same Fourth Amendment privacy protections as you normally would. Why? Because the container itself makes it obvious what's inside. If it's clear to anyone looking at the bag what's in it, the law assumes you don't have much expectation of privacy. Picture this. You're heading to the range with your rifle packed neatly into a long, sleek gun case. You toss it into the backseat of your car, where it's visible to anyone walking by. What you might not realize is that you've just made your gun case a potential target for law enforcement scrutiny. The distinctive shape of the case makes it clear what's inside, and now your Fourth Amendment protections could be compromised. If this was a Metal Gear Solid game, this is the exclamation mark above their head. Compare that to putting the same gun case in the trunk of your car, completely out of sight, or glove box, or middle console, a lock case under your seat. These simple actions keep your property out of plain view and reduces the chance of attracting unnecessary attention. It's not just about rifle cases. Say you're carrying a handgun in a case specifically designed for it. If that case is sitting on your passenger seat, anyone passing by, including law enforcement, can easily guess what's inside. But if you store it out of sight, you're adding a layer of legal privacy and protecting yourself from potential searches for whatever reason. Now you might be thinking, okay, but isn't this just an outdated rule? Not at all. In fact, it's still very relevant today. In 2005, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld this principle in a case called U.S. versus Gust. In this case, a man gave police permission to search his car but later argued that they had no right to search his locked gun case. The court disagreed. Why? Because the shape and design of the case made it obvious it contained a firearm. The court treated the container as if it were in plain view, even though it was locked. Speaking of plain view, let's talk about the Plain View Doctrine. This doctrine says that if an item is visible and obvious to law enforcement, like a gun case sitting on a car seat, they don't need to open it to figure out what's inside. These two doctrines, single purpose container and plain view, often stack together. And when they do, it can spell trouble for gun owners who aren't careful. Here's an example. You're staying at a hotel and leave your rifle case leaning against the wall in your room. Someone from housekeeping sees it and assumes it's a firearm. That assumption alone could lead to questions, extra scrutiny, or even calls to law enforcement, depending on the state you're in. Or consider leaving a handgun case branded with a manufacturer's logo visible in your car while you're at work or running errands. Not only could it make your vehicle a target for theft, but if law enforcement sees it, they might treat it as an invitation to investigate further. So what can you do to protect yourself? I'm not saying you need to replace all your gun cases with something else, but you should know the rules and take simple steps to avoid problems from people who don't understand our constitutional right to own firearms for a myriad of reasons. First, let's acknowledge that we shouldn't be leaving our firearms in plain sight for no reason. It's just not smart. One of the easiest things you can do is store firearm cases in the trunk of your car or somewhere completely out of sight. This small change can help you avoid unnecessary attention and potential misunderstandings. The truth is, laws written decades ago still affect how we carry firearms today. Even if you're following all the rules, using a branded or obvious gun case could still put you under extra scrutiny. It's not fair, but it's the reality. Knowing this gives you the power to slide through life with less problems. Does this change how you think about carrying your firearms? Will you start putting your gun case in the trunk or take other steps to stay out of sight? Or is this just good-to-know information you'll keep in mind for the future? Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay safe, protect your rights, and check out our concealed carry joggers and shorts on relaxedfittactical.com.